So today we are basically going to have a look at who can do what on a club, how to add trainers, candidates, and how you might wish to manage your membership. There are options. Obviously, not one mold is going to fit everyone. So we'll cover as much as we possibly can. So adding and removing people to the Our People list. Now, because it's a multi-platform provider or multi-provider platform, I should say, don't get too hung up on the terminology, so particularly staff, because we understand that a lot of people are volunteers or members. So it just basically means anyone that is added to the account that has something to do with the club. So to add a person into Our People, first of all, you have to click on the Our People tab. And then you have this admin button at near the top of the page on the right hand side with a little drop down arrow. If you click the drop down arrow, you get this little menu pop up with two options: add person or bulk upload. I generally recommend doing add person because bulk upload requires more information and can take a little bit longer to set up. So you have to do people individually if you do add a person rather than doing it en masse. But I think for most people, it's a more straightforward option. So once you've clicked it, you'll get this window pop up. Okay, which gives you a couple of options. So first of all, you can, for anyone that has an existing account on the system, you can enter their last name and their society number. You can then hit next, and then it will do a little search there, and there'll be a little plus button, or it'll say add, which will simply add them across, send them an invite, which they can accept. You can also use, you can probably see at the bottom, create person. There's an option on either of those screens, which will allow you to basically set up a new account for them, which can be useful, if you've got someone that perhaps isn't particularly IT literate, if you're going to administer getting the certificates for them, that's absolutely fine to do. Personally, I'd recommend that as many people as possible self-administer their own account, and they can do that from the age of 13 upwards. That's not RLSS ruling, by the way. That's a GDPR ruling, so we can't get around that. That will then give you a window once you've either added them by the search or by creating the account, and it will ask whether you want to add any roles to them. Now, there are several roles, and I'm going to go through them in just a minute, but that will basically either give them permissions against the club, or it will apply a tag which is just for you, so you can see what their role is, and particularly bigger clubs, that can be quite useful. Once you've done that, you can hit save and close. So we'll have a look at the roles now. So there's a brief overview of what the roles do, but I'm going to go through them in a little bit more detail now. So a club chair. Now you can use these roles in conjunction with each other. So if one role doesn't do everything that person needs, then you can apply multiple. So a club chair by default can pre-purchase course credits. So that's manuals or payments for candidates. So you can have a bank of those. Can manage the club details, so address, contact details for the club, all of the visibility settings which were covered in the first session, which should now be up on the website. They can view the club resources section, which will have the club certificate and also insurance documents on there. They can manage and I put it in inverted commas, staff. So that's, again, down to the Our People tab. And they can view the financial tab and make any payments for membership or for any invoices that are on there. Then you have a club admin. So you may notice that they can do exactly the same thing as the chair. So the chair is, as well as being a role, it also has the tag that is the person that the charity may want to contact if they need to speak to someone about the club. But the admin basically has the same permissions, so it can do exactly the same as a chair can. Then you have a club instructor. So they have some of the same permissions, so they can pre-purchase course credits, like the other two roles. They can manage the staff, again in inverted commas. They can view the financial tab and make payments. But what they can do in addition is they can create and submit events. So that's courses, or anything else that we add. So they can manage that process from start to finish, add the candidates on, as we saw in the second webinar, which is due to go on the website very soon. And also they have access to the candidates tab, which allows them to view candidate certificates, download candidate certificates. So again, if you've got someone that doesn't want to administer their own account, you can still obtain those. Then you have the club welfare officer. So again, they can manage the Our People tab and add people to the club. They can access candidate certificates in the same way that a club instructor can. But they will also have access, and this functionality is not quite live yet, but will be very soon, to the DBS records for candidates and staff members on the club, so they can obviously manage that process. Then you have a couple of other roles which aren't really roles because they don't give any access to any of the permissions on there. So it's more like a tag. So you have club volunteer and club member. So you can apply those or not. It's up to you. Just to give a little idea as to who that person is and the role that they perform. Before I move on, has anyone got any questions about any of that?
Simon, when do you think the access of the DBS certificate will be available, or club members with?
I don't want to give you a firm date just because we've got a lot of testing to do, and obviously any bugs that we find or anything we want changed before it goes live will affect that. But I believe we're due to do our first round of testing in the next couple of weeks, so I don't foresee it being that far away. But I don't want to say, oh, you'll have it in the next month, because if it's not right, then we're not going to put it live.
So currently,
so it's close, but don't know exactly when yet.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before I move on? No. Okay. So now we're going to have a look at club membership, in particular paying for your club membership. So the email reminder for this will go to one of two people. So as we covered in the first session, in the details for the club, you can set up things like a billing contact. So if there is a billing contact set, then the reminder will go to that email address. If there's no billing contact set, it will go to the contact email address that's on the club. Once that's issued, so you'll be able to see exactly what it is, how much it is, and then you can go to this little button at the end of the line, give it a click, and that will bring up these options. So you've got a couple of different options. So print will bring up the file of the invoice, so you can have a record of that. And then you have the pay now option, which will bring up a payment gateway window to allow you to pay by card or purchase order if you have that facility. That doesn't mean those are the only facilities open to you. So there is this number here, that is the invoice number. If you want to pay by check, cash, bank transfer, then that option is still available to you. You just need to make our finance department aware that that's what you're going to do. Quote that number on the check, but back of the check, or in a covering note if it's cash, or as the reference on the bank transfer, and that just allows us to then match that payment up with the invoice and get that assigned for you nice and easily. So that's pretty much the same way that you would pay for anything in that financial tab, whether that's club membership, whether that is a pre-purchase of course credits, well, basically whatever it is, it's exactly the same process. And that's it, basically. It's quite a short one on this kind of area because it's I suppose not in depth as course management, where there's more to consider. But I will open the floor now. So if there's any questions about this area or anything else you want to know about the system, now's the time to ask.
Silence is golden.
Absolutely. Well, as always, I know I've just kind of put you all on the spot with questions, but as always, you can give me a call on the normal number 0300 323 0096, or you can contact me or another member of the team at account@rlss.org.uk, and obviously we'll pick those emails up and do our best to get back to you, usually within 24 to 48 hours.